Hello there, my darlings. Are you all creeped out? Let me fix this right now because you know what? The sun is going down and the lighting is different, and I gotta fix that because otherwise it'll be driving me crazy. There we go. Just a little tweak, just a little tweak. Hello to each and every one of you, my beautiful darlings. Thank you so much for being here. It is a scary night because we're going to be telling scary stories. And thank you so much. I was able to fix the glasses. Last night I was going to wear them and, you know, so let me turn down the music a little bit. I've got it going in the background for us because, I mean, after all, we've got to have a little music, a little bit of scary in the background. How are you? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Thank you. I'm telling you, everyone is wonderful. Now, I'm seeing what I don't want to do is get distracted. The Bedero letter did come out. A letter for AJ came out. Since we are telling scary stories, the only scary thing that I can think of right now is learning that Kate Peter has a boyfriend. That is the scary story for me for this evening. So there we go. And then AJ talked about Kelly Dever and how she cannot be trusted anymore because, well, she has false memories. I mean, hello. Talk about what you want to be used for you is turned against you. Hello. So that's what I want to say about all of those because, first of all, not a legal channel. You all know that. And many, many, many have done some beautiful videos. And Miss Melanie, our girl, Miss Melanie, really did a great one. The fact that Turtle Boy is rounding the bend, coming around the mountain, and all of these things going on, well, all I gotta say is to the Commonwealth, look out. Something wicked this way cometh. You know how I said that these people are going to be haunted? Remember how I said that there is a web between Mark Bedero, Turtle Boy, Timothy Bradle, Karen Reed, the defense team, because this is Turtle Boy bringing up the rear. And they are both going to be helping each other in a roundabout way. They're helping each other without helping each other. And I just love that. So thank you very, very much. I did not see a new indictment for Turtle Boy today. So we're not going to be talking about that. And I did see the commish. Anymore, I just don't know if this stands for loser or liar. Maybe both. So, you know what? Tonight is a night that I just want to tell you, because I know you all love EVPs, and I'm going to tell you some scary stories. And we're going to smile and we're going to relax and we're going to sit back and we're going to be just taking a big breath. So, last call. Run, get your snacks, get your teddy bear or your blankie, get an iced coffee, a pop, whatever it is, a water, because I think that you guys are going to, these are scary. I'm just going to say, disclaimer, they still give me chills. If you don't want to hear about scary stories, well, I'll see you next Saturday. So, and thank you so much, my dear Standing Stones, my dear friend. Every background that you see, I design. So I appreciate your kudos. All the little intros, all the little outros, all that stuff I design. And thank you very much. Someone tonight asked me for my Venmo QR code, and I'm going to proudly put it up there. And if you all have a question you want me to read, you want to send me a Venmo, I'll be glad to read whatever it is that you write me, as long as there's not foul language. We'll read it on the air, and you'll be famous forever, because it will be documented here. All right, my darlings. Are you ready? Can you hear the spooky music in the background? That's what it's there for. All right. The first I'm gonna warm us up a little bit and tell you about a home that is falling apart and dilapidated. Now, why all these homes are falling apart and dilapidated and boarded up and all these things, who knows? But it seems like it traps not souls, but energy. And the fact when you trap energy into a place that is negatively falling apart, boarded up, it's like that happening. So when I was still living in Ohio, just a few years ago, I learned that there was a place north. The house is now it is now torn down because there were so many problems. Another person and I, a gentleman and I, and went there. And I'm just going to be very frank with you. When I go on these paranormal outings, I like to have a gentleman with me, if possible. And I think that all of you can understand, because certainly, I can't wiggle my nose and take care of problems like I wish I could. But I physically could not stand up to something or someone, and you know how that all goes. So this gentleman and I, really nice guy, friend of mine, decided we were going to go up. And the best time to always go is when the sun is setting. So the sun was setting. We walk up to this house. Now, this house had a reputation. It was actually posted on the Book of Faces. And the fact that it was relatively close by, within a 45-minute drive of me, I'm like, hello, let's go. I grabbed my equipment. He grabbed his. We ran in the car and we took off. We got there perfectly at the sun setting, because there's something about the mix of the moon and the sun. It's almost as though it's flipping the switch on a light, flipping this switch on energy. It's just perfect, and my favorite time of day. We pull in, and the first thing that we hear, because believe me, this house was so run down, we were told on the Book of Faces not to go on the second floor. So, me being me, I said, well, we'll just see. We'll see. We're just going to play it by ear, and we'll just see. Well, we get out of the car, and I start hearing noises in the house. And I look at him, and I said, hey, do you think we've got company? Is it two-legged or four-legged? What do you think? Because this was out in the country, the back roads of Ohio, where it is like flat, no mountains, little clusters of trees, and lots of farmland. No one around. You didn't see anyone. And of course, there was no utilities, no electricity on in the house. So this had been vacant for, yes, 007. This has been vacant for a very, very long time, decades. It was in a family estate and nobody ever claimed it. Everybody was out of state, nobody, and it was in such a state of disrepair. Everybody was like, don't want to deal with it. Don't want to deal with it. No, it wasn't there, M169, it wasn't there. So we stood there for a minute trying to figure out because it was noisy. And I said, well, maybe it's a raccoon. Maybe it's something. So we were quiet. Now, one thing, if you know with me, if I go out with a group of people, I don't want to be around a lot of other people that have EVP spirit boxes going at the same time. It, in my opinion, confuses the energy. Each person going out on a paranormal investigation, in my book, when I go out, each person should be assigned to one task. One person runs the EVP, another person runs a recorder, another person makes sure that lights are on, all of that stuff. So I was running my EVP. He was running flashlights and a recorder. He looked at me and said, I just saw something on the second floor. And I said, friend or foe, two-legged or four-legged? And he said, no-legged. And I said, okay, which means it wasn't a full-body apparition. He saw probably from the waist up and one arm, he told me, looking at us. So, crazy enough, we plowed forward. We got probably 20 feet from the porch. There was a porch, 2 steps up, old-fashioned porch. This was an old farmhouse, old-fashioned porch. And we started hearing these noises. Clack, clack. And we're looking at each other and we couldn't figure it out. And all of a sudden, we found out there were stones being thrown at us from the second floor. Stone hitting my car, which whoever had that had a good arm. Stones hitting the top of the porch. Stones hitting in the garage, whatever they were. They looked like stones. They were just little pieces of something. And he looked at me and he said, I think we need to go in. And I said, I think so too. Let's find out if somebody is here and if they are just afraid and they're trying to make us go away. We go through the front door. Now, on a paranormal investigation, the first thing that I do, because first of all, I don't wear jewelry. I don't go blinged out. I don't wear these blinging glasses. I wear like school marm librarian glasses. I tie my hair back because usually I get my hair pulled or something. Only thing I wear is my ring, and this ring on my left hand says Jesus. So I wear both. So we go in, and the door was a little ajar because, the house was starting to, get a little bit of a tilt. So he pushed the door open. We got the door open. There was a glass piece in the front door so we could see in the house. And imagine a horror movie. And believe me, so before I go in, sorry, I got ahead of myself. Before I go in, I always touch a wooden part of the door frame with my power hand, which is my right hand. I touch a wooden part of the door frame. I make sure I have one foot on the door frame. I have my hand on the door frame. And I say my own little prayer. I ground myself. I do my thing. We walk in. I went first. So we're standing in this little foyer because, like old farmhouses, the rooms are very chopped up and very small. So you couldn't really see what was in the next rooms. So we heard this movement upstairs. So he says, oh, give me a second. Sunshine, my darling, email me and get put on the list. Email me personally. We'll put you on the list, okay? Thank you. So he starts saying, hello. And we were gentle, and I was kind of staying by the door because I'm thinking, hello, if I need to cut and run, you can bet I'm going to be feet made tracks. That's what I was going to be doing. Hello. I might be psychic and I'm brave and I don't get scared, but I ain't stupid. So, nothing. All of a sudden, all of this noise, the rocks stopped. He looked at me and he said, I think somebody's upstairs. And I said, well, be careful. He said, I'm going to go up there. He had like a baseball bat thing with him. We always carry baseball bats or something because you don't know. There might be an animal. You might run into Chloe, right? So he takes the baseball bat and I'm looking around and I just have the EVP on. I'm not saying anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm not saying anything. And all of a sudden the EVP starts sounding like it's clicking. Click, click. So I hear him. He winds upstairs. He's very close, taking the steps very gingerly. I could hear him walking around. I can hear him going through each room. And there was nothing. There was no sign of animals, no sign of vagrants, nothing. He comes downstairs and he said, there's nothing. And I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave the EVP in the front room. There was like a mantle. So I left the EVP, my device, on the mantle. And we walked around the house together. My rule of thumb, first of all, I knew where he was if I needed him. Secondly, you don't really leave your partner for a bad, long period of time. When you go, you don't leave people alone for a long period of time. I see people do that. That's up to them. I don't do it. So we're walking around. He's going first with the bat. We're just gingerly walking. Nothing in there. You could tell some drawers were pulled out in the kitchen. Was just kind of really bad disarray. It was to the point where every mouse had probably been in there and gone. Every bird had been in there and gone. So we're winding through all this. Now, this place had a basement, and we couldn't get down the basement because the steps were trashed. And I don't think I would have wanted to go down in that basement anyway. But we're winding around there. So he's got the recorder. And we're not talking because that's one thing. I don't believe you have to talk every second and say, hello, how are you? What are you doing? Who are you? What are you here for? What are you doing? What is your name? Because every and any entity known will know the minute that you turn your device on because it sends out a frequency. The frequency is binary, and that's how entities communicate. So we continue to go on, and we're just having the recorder walking around, and we're kind of whispering. We're not loud. We kind of whisper. We'll give each other head nods, all this other. We heard a big crash bang downstairs. Now, we didn't run. We did not panic. We went to the stairs and we looked. We didn't say hello. We looked. Then we came down and we walked around. Nothing. Nothing was there. So it was so dark in this house when the sun went down that even our flashlights did not seem like they were enough for us. So he looked at me and he said, "Are you ready to go?" Because we didn't think that we got anything. So I said, "Yeah, let's go ahead and go. Let's go ahead and go." So we walk out the front door, and all of a sudden, a stone comes out of the top window. We turn around immediately, nothing there. Because you could actually see through the house from like still light, like still moonlight, whatever it was, you could still see nothing. So we came out there and he said, "You want to look around?" I said, "Yeah, let's look around the house while we can." So we had flashlights, and it was lighter outside than it was on the inside. So we were looking around the house. We found a couple of twigs that were tied together. We found some leather. We found not a cigarette, but tobacco. I knew what end was up. And I said, "Okay, I think this is it now. I think I want to go." So we walked through, we walked around. And so, my darlings, hold on just a second. I don't know if somebody sent me a Venmo or not. No, okay. So we get in the car. Now remember, I have my EVP going. We're not really talking. And he has his recorder going, and he is working the flashlights. Now, I have a flashlight in my hand that's almost like a police officer flashlight, one of the big ones that, you can use it to defend yourself if something goes down. I'm a big believer in that. I'm holding my EVP device, walking around, and I can see it going. And I did not see any activity while we were walking around the house. We get in the car. We made it around. We got in the car. Before we left, I held out my hand and I said, "I thank you for the use of your power and for allowing us to visit. We will not come back. We will not disturb you. You stay on your ground and we'll stay on ours. You do not have permission to come to us. You do not have permission to follow. If this is where you choose to be, this must be where you stay." We get in the car, we're going down the road. He says, "You know what? I could use a cup of coffee." And I said, "You know what? I could use a cup of coffee and a slice of peach pie." Hello? I mean, after all, you got to feed a girl. So we knew of this little place. We used to call it a joint. That's not so nice, but it was. But they had the best food ever. Not really a bar, but they sold liquor type thing, like a diner. Open late night. Best pie. Best pie. Hands down. I had peach pie. I'll never forget. It was delicious. He had a slice of apple pie with a big piece of cheddar cheese melted on the top. Yes, that's what us Midwesterners do. I know many of you have heard about that. So while we're sitting there talking, and of course, what am I doing? I'm making notes. I have my I have my book. At that time, we didn't have planners and all this other fancy gula. I would take a composition book or something with me, and I would write all this down. Don't knock it until you try that cheese on heated up apple pie. Absolutely the best. So we're sitting there. The place, the joint is empty. I sound like, oh, the joint is empty. The joint is empty. We're sitting there. The waitress is way over on the side. She's reading the paper. And he said, while we're sitting here, eating our pie, having a cup of coffee, you want to listen? I said, sure. Sure, sure. So we get out, and I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to be, I said, let's run the EVPs first, because they're a little bit more silent. And I don't want to draw attention from, whoever else is sprinkled in here. Fine. So we had it timed. I had a timer on my EVP app. So the moment that I had laid my EVP app on the mantle in the house and we left it and we walked around is when, oh my, it's starting to storm here. Don't you love it? The moment that I put that device on the mantle is when the activity started. What we heard was, ha, like somebody came up and went, ha, into the device. Then we heard, oh. And then what sent chills up my flipping spine was, I'm watching you. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. A 3-word response that I didn't even ask for. I did not ask for anything. And that's why when you see me on here, I don't sit here and go, oh, your energy is telling me this. Oh, I'm going to let them talk. That's what you want them to do. If you start interrupting them, they won't talk. They won't respond. This energy has to, it's like, this is the only way that I can explain it. It's like digging a trench from a water source to your garden. Your garden doesn't get the water. But the moment that you dig that trench from the water source to the garden, the water source starts to flow. And that's the only way. Boy, it is thundering here. Do I love it. That is the only way. That is the only way that you can help carve. You help carve that. You blaze the trail. You clear a pathway by. And I know some people have told me that Maybe I goof around too much. Maybe I laugh too much. Maybe all this other stuff. I can't take it seriously here because there's so much going on. I think, by the way, we get a lot, but responses are usually 1 and 2 words. That's it. And they just may come randomly because, first of all, we just don't even know who is behind the words and who's talking and who isn't. Remember, on that side of the paranormal, on that side, oh, bring it on that side of the fence, you don't know who you're talking to. They can say, you can trust, but the reality is, you don't know, and you never will. Now, after that, I'm watching you. It was like a buzz, like this beep. You know that white noise sound when we were younger and the TVs cut off at midnight and they sang the Star Spangled Banner, and then the TV went off and it made the white noise? That's exactly what it sounded like. Now, you know me. I need to know more about this farmhouse. And so the next day after that, and I'm going to tell you, I couldn't sleep that night. And it wasn't because I was afraid. It was actually because I was excited. I had not gotten an EVP, and it was a male voice, and it wasn't spooky like, whoa, that thing. It was, I'm watching you. And I thought, oh, that takes some intelligence. So this guy, whoever this is, did not want us there. And he was watching to make sure probably that we didn't mess around. Because there's one thing that I noticed when we walked in that house. Many abandoned homes, you see this, where kids will go in, people will go in and write the graffiti and, oh, this is the portal to the hot place. And, they do all this crazy stuff. So one thing. The next day, I went to the deed of records. In the deed of records, I found that this house belonged to a former pastor back in the 1800s. That's how old this house was. They owned a huge, great big farm, like 900 acres. And I knew what 900 acres looked like because the farm I grew up and lived on was 900 acres and was so big, that we had roads dividing and everything else. So this house that was out in the middle, and from that moment, I said, in God's country, because only God could find it, and that pastor. So it was a pastor who had lost his family to some sickness or something, and there was a cemetery like this, on the property, but we don't know where it was. I think it was just too old and overgrown, and I'm certainly not going to go back. But after he lost his family, he lingered on for years, and he became a hermit. He became pulled into himself, didn't want anyone there. The story said, he had family that was out of state somewhere. They offered for him to come. No. And he ended up passing away in the house. Was it him that said he was watching? I don't know. I'd like to think so. Was it him that said, Breathing in my EVP thingy, my device? Probably. Wanting to be a little huffy and wanting to know why we were there. Was it his energy that was sending rocks? Probably. For an entity to move and to like throw rocks and all this other crazy. So a few days later, I went to the Book of Faces in this paranormal ghost group from Ghosts of Ohio, Ghosts of, Tennessee, Ghosts of Kentucky, and it covered a few states, Pennsylvania, I think, and Indiana, West Virginia. I wrote my experience in there. And it was a long time before we'd heard anything more. And then it was about a year later that I saw a post in that group that said they tore that house down because it was just too much. People were going there and they were afraid that they were going to get hurt. And I agree. Sometimes you just have to, in order to get rid of that energy, you have to tear it down. Now, energy, you can't destroy it. It's probably displaced, probably in the ground. It's moved on, taken another form, whatever that is. I certainly would like to go back. Nothing to go back to at this point. But that starts the EVPs. And believe me, something like that's going to get to you a little bit. I had that recording for quite some time, and I've looked and looked, and I'm not able to find it. There was another place, so that's the first one. Let me take a drink. We're going to be here for a minute. Please do me a favor, and thank you, each and every one of you, for coming back in, coming here. Thank you again so much for everything you do for me. Please do me a favor. Because I'll tell you what, I love the likes. I love the subscribers. The views is where it's at on this platform, just so you know. And that's why I appreciate each and every one of you so much, because the views is where it's at. So thank you for this. So let me read this because I got a nice, sweet little note here from our lovely Liz McFall. This is my weekly It Doesn't Help That Story Time is happening during a super loud thunderstorm here in Texas contribution. Oh, Liz, I'm so sorry. Please batten down the hatches and knuckle in and hang in there, my darling. It's all good. You stay safe, but thank you so much for your generosity and much love to you. Thank you. That's wonderful, wonderful. Now, next story. I've got stories. I've been doing this since the 1980s. So they're stories. So, my darlings, next story is this. My son and I went on a tour through the South Pittsburgh hospital, mental hospital, asylum that's in Tennessee. And you should hear the wind blowing. I maybe should look to see if, no, well, we will get a notification if there's any problem. Okay. And thunder. If I lose you, I'm going to come back on my phone. So you just hang in there, okay? If my power goes off, because it did the last time, big time. So I will come back on my phone. So y'all just hang in there. Okay. So the next story is this. My son and I went on this, and my son is very receptive. He's like a little receptor. He's very receptive of that. And so he's a brave one. So I take my pendulum with me. I take my own little EVP device. Now, when you go on these tours, they provide you with stuff. I don't use anybody else's equipment but my own. They had snacks. I'm all for it. So my son and I decided, because they said, oh, you can go on and go off on your own if you want to. They knew who I was. I was not a guest. When I do that, I don't go into a place and say, oh, here I am, big bad, and announce myself. No. Quiet. I keep to myself. I don't announce anything. Believe me, they know who I am. And if they get any indication of where I am, boom. It's like I don't even have to ask. So we're standing in a hall. There's supposed to be a doctor in this asylum that is close to 7 feet tall, that you could see his apparition walking around. My son and I saw him way at the end of the hall. And we didn't say anything. Because we know how people are. Oh my gosh, did you see this? Oh my God. And then run down there. Hello. No, we didn't do that. So we both saw it. We're looking and we're standing across from each other so we can give, signals. And he and I have our own signals that if feeling stress or whatever, all of a sudden, there's a wave of heat, not cold, heat that comes through like an inferno heat that comes through, like somebody opened up a door on a day that's 100 degrees outside and you're going from a air conditioning home and out into the heat. It was just blasted and hit all of us. And Ian's looking at me and he's like, it's this little thing like, what was that? And I'm like, let's just see. So we're standing there and they're rolling these balls. Okay. Pardon me. Got a hair in my eye. They're rolling these balls. The people are rolling these balls down to the other end of this hallway. And they're like, can you tell us anything? And everybody's chiming in. We're not saying anything. Finally, one of the investigator people from the group said, would you like to have someone come down? And this audible voice, and we caught it. And I may try to post, I think I have posted it before in my channel. Audible voice, caught it on recorder, caught it, says, send Ian. Now that's my son. And of course, being mom, I step out in front of my son and I just looked down the hall and I said, take me. Take me. And my son is standing there going, Mom, can you please? And Can you please embarrass me any more than what it's like, oh. So I'm standing there saying, take me. I'll come down there. You want to talk? Let's talk. All of a sudden, one of the balls that these people had rolled down the hill came firing back up like somebody rolled a bowling ball. Whew, down. And I mean, it came right toward me, and I did not move. It came right toward me. Now, I didn't let it hit me. I moved my leg. And I said, okay, we can talk later. And my son is like, Mom, you're so embarrassing. No. So we're walking down this hall, and all of a sudden, I hear this woman screaming. And a woman scream, caught on EVPs, caught on our EVPs, screaming and saying, help me, help me. And in an asylum, and sometimes you can't really tell where sounds are coming from, because when you've got entities talking to you, sound resonates and it bounces. So we didn't know if it was coming in front of us or behind us. So we turned around, and it had been coming from behind us. We turned around, and we caught both, my son and I, and another woman that was there, who had just decided to follow us, and that's okay. We turned around. We thought it was someone from the group. She was running down the hall, screaming, help me. And she disappeared just as quickly as what she appeared. We looked at each other and went, oh, okay. Now, this is with a lot of people. This was Ghost Hunts USA. So at this point, they're back on the other side of this asylum place, because my son and I broke off. It was just too much noise and too much entertainment. And there were a couple of people there that just wanted to laugh and cut up and, all this other stuff. And I can't hack that. I won't be around if you do that. I won't be around. I'll just excuse myself. So we went kind of back toward them. And one of the people came up to my son and said, is that your mom? And he said, yeah. And she said, is her name Zelda? And my son said, yes. And she said, when you left, we have on our recorders, we have EVPs where there is a voice that said, where's Zelda? So I went back, and it was one of these nights that it was the entities, the energy figured out that these people got scared very easily, and they didn't take it seriously, and they got toyed with all night, to the point where I said, I'm tired, because they have a couple of rooms that have beds in them, and you can lay down on a bed. We brought a couple of sleeping bags, because I can't, that's too much of an energy drain. So we laid down. We had sleeping bags, our own sleep. I laid on top of the sleeping bag. I told him, I said, I am beat. I can't sit up here. So he said, Mom, I think we need to get some drinks. We need to get some food in you. So we went over to the break room. They had the lights on. Everything was fine. You could make a phone call in there, because we had to, we had to turn off our phones and all this other. So we sat there and we had a couple of snacks and, some refreshments. And they just kept coming and getting me. And finally my son said, she's not, no more. No more. And I said, there's one more thing that I'd like to do before we leave. So my son, there's like 3 or 4 levels. And believe me, this is a place, sorry. This is a place where if you're not familiar with where you're going to get lost very quickly because every floor looks alike, every room looks alike, everything looks alike, period. So we went there. So I said, I want to get my pendulum. Now, when I use my pendulum, when I'm walking around, I walk around and I hold the pendulum in front of me. And if you're with me, you could see the pendulum pushing forward or pushing to the left or pushing to the right, or it would do a quick circle as a no or one as a yes. And so we just kind of used it as our little map guide. And it took us to places that we probably shouldn't have been. But we walked around that whole place and we got some really good EVPs. And we used the pendulum, we used the rod, then we met up with everybody. And I told him, I said, look, I'm ready to cut and run. Let's tell them we're leaving. I want to go get breakfast and we'll call it a day. So, did we have a good ghost hunt? He and I did. This other lady that was with us, we did. It made, I think, the people that were with Ghost Hunt USA a little annoyed that Zelda was there and kind of took the thunder. And I just didn't want to do that. So, it is what it is. I can't help that. So we went to breakfast, pulled out the EVPs and the stuff and the recorder. The stuff we caught was completely uncanny, as though these entities were having a conversation among themselves. And a couple of times it was, is she here? And you would hear another voice go, walked away. Or you would hear, it was a whole different, complete variation of voices having conversations with themselves. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely. So that right there to me proves that something is communicating. The reason we have to be careful is because we just don't know who's behind it. Period. So I saw a question here I want to answer. Let me see. Hi, Annie. How are you? Thank you so much. Was it a show, Zelda the Ghost? No, Ghost Hunt USA is a group. I don't even know if they're still available. It is a group in which you can go on and book a paranormal investigation through them. I think my son and I got, I don't know, a deluxe package where you stay overnight and they provide you with snacks and they'll give you their equipment and all that, which we didn't use. We ate the snacks though. We didn't use their equipment and all that. And I think it was about, by the time tax, title and everything, when we walked out of there, it was about $200 a piece. So would I go back and do it again? No. I wouldn't. And the reason being is because you don't know who you're going to go with. You don't know if they're grounded or prayed up, or if they're carrying something in, or if they'll carry something out. Now, before you go into these places, they have this little pseudo prayer that they say, okay, I'm thrilled, but I still do my thing and I still ground myself and whatever. Not that I'm the best. And I'm just going to tell you like this. I'm not the best at all. I just know what works for me, and that's what works for me. Now, I have gone out with demonologists. I have gone out with, and I'll tell you what, that you want to be scared, go out with a demonologist when you've got demon, evil, dark entities wanting to attack the person, the demonologist that you're with, and whatever's left over, they come after you. Ooh, that is something that doesn't happen every day. There's not a demon around every corner. However, there's a lot of dark energy that is out there. And believe me, I believe, my opinion only, because we have a lot of these paranormal shows, and because it became the norm, and it was like this big interest. Zach's show, Jason's show, all of these. Believe me, I watch all of them. I like the Dead Files. I like it all. I watch it all. But believe me, all of this energy opens up doors. It opens up portals. It opens up things that sometimes shouldn't be. As in, many people go out, and I see some of these professional people that I will not mention, but they'll go out and they'll open up an entity and they'll leave without closing it. They'll open up the portal, they'll open up a door, they don't close it. That bothers me. Anytime I leave, there's a closure. Because, first of all, I don't want Shisela coming after me and following me home. And that stuff happens. So there's a lot of stuff. Okay, I'm seeing some questions. Patty, hello, my darling. Zelda, I can't talk tonight. Zelda, have you had similar experiences that other places, such as asylums or hospitals that are haunted, or hospitals that aren't haunted? Yes. Yes, there have been times that I have had to go to a regular hospital that a loved one or a friend has been in, and you walk down the hall and you see something come out of somebody's room. You don't say anything. And then the nurses will say, "Oh, yeah, this person's been seeing this, or this person's been seeing that." And because there's a lot of that energy loss there, there's a lot of loss. But I'm going to say this. I don't want to guarantee you, but I will tell you this. Just about, there's Scooby walking through. Just about every hospital that I've been in, and I've been in a lot of them, have this deep, dark room that is blocked off downstairs in a tunnel somewhere that they don't use any longer. And there's a lot of energy that comes through those things. So I don't know if that answered your questions, but yes, I have to be careful where I go. Because frankly, it doesn't matter if I walk into a graveyard or a cemetery, or I walk into a hospital that is A-OK, or one that's been abandoned, or a home, because each one resonates with energy. We cannot get away from energy. And I have been tuned in and trained on certain entities, energies, and so forth. And I know when that I need to turn it off, and I know when I need to zip it up. Many people think that they are in tune, and they'll go out and they'll start spouting, and then they have trouble. And you know this because not long after they return, they fall into depressions, or they start having problems with digestion. And I'm not saying everybody, but sometimes that happens. And that's why you got to ground yourself and make sure you're cleared of all these things. Because believe me, it's like, and when I walk into a place, and even here, I've been around it for so long, more than 50 years. I know that's hard since I'm only 32. Okay, more than 50 years, it's kind of like you get this little stamp on you that says, "Oh, there she is." It's the entity that does that. I'm here. I mean, she's here. Let's grab onto her. Wah. And it's really funny. So, anyway, and now we have Mercury stars. What are they? Specialized. A demonologist is a more practical and professional way to say, in some regard, a non Catholic exorcist. That's pretty much what it is. A demonologist studies demons, where they come from, where they are going. And believe me, many of you probably have not heard about the demon room under the Vatican. There is one. There's a demon that is locked in a room under the Vatican. One of these days, I'll tell you all about that. But there is a mirror associated with it. And they tell every pope that goes in there, don't go down there. This demon has predicted every death of every pope since the moment that they found it. The scary thing is, there is another demon, supposedly, allegedly associated with it that they can't find. And that's why they have a lot of these, I'm just going to say it. It sounds very Hollywood, but it's very true. They have a group of demonologists, they don't call them psychics, and professionals that seek out where these artifacts and where these things are, because what they want to do is lock them up so they don't fall into the hands of people that should not fall in the hands of. It's very interesting and very scary. Would I go into this deep, dark tunnel, underground room of the Vatican? I'm just going to say it here. Not only no, but hell no. You won't catch me doing any of that stuff. Because as strong as I am, I know not to where not to mess. Many people don't realize that because there's so many limitations. Craziness. Saw another question here, my darlings. Rosebud, hello, my darling. I've got some earrings on and I added some little red bulbs here from you, Miss Rosebud. Thank you so much. Zelda, have you stayed at Lizzie Borden's house? I was at Lizzie Borden's before they opened it up as an Airbnb or somewhere where you could stay overnight. I was pushed on the stairway of the Lizzie Borden house. My former husband, who was the lieutenant commander in the Navy, when we were up there in Newport, Rhode Island, stationed there, we would take these weekend jaunts and we would go to Fall River and we'd go all these places. I love Fall River, by the way. And you can have a Fall River accent as far as I'm concerned because I would love it. So we went. He didn't like any of this. He just didn't like it at all. Thought it was silly. And I was a big shot, I'm going to tell you, with the Psychic Friends Network, with it was Dionne Warwick that owned it at the time. So I was on some of her commercials, some of her a lot of the print and everything else. I was in the back of the National Enquirer. Oh, that's big time. So he just didn't like it. So I had to really turn the switch off when we would go out and go places. But and he saw it. I got pushed down the steps for no reason, just got pushed. That's what happens. But I would love to go back. Absolutely love to go back. And I want to tell you, we of our mods here, I love having you here. Thank you so much. Captain Jerry is in the house, and believe me, she's just doing a bang up job. And you never know, Captain Jerry and me just may be two women going wild one of these days. You just don't know. So there you go. And thank her for all she does because she stays on it. Okay, let me see if there's any more questions. Hi, Gina. Two questions. How do you ground yourself? And how do you close a portal? Excellent questions. I ground myself when I go into a place with wood. I always carry iron with me. Iron will help with any type of entity that is ornery or demons that are more than ornery, and it helps as a barrier. That's another story. If there's not a wood doorway, which usually there is when you go into these places, or if I go into a cemetery, there's usually a gate. If there's no gate, I find a tree that is near an entrance and I ground myself, always on wood, because wood has roots and it's grounding yourself. Definitely. How do I close a portal? When I leave, I say, just like what I did at that house, thank you for allowing me to be here. You will not come back with me. I command that you will not follow. I command that you may not attach yourself, you may not possess, and you may not enter me, my house, my loved ones. You must remain. And then I say a prayer and all that. That's how I do it. So there you go. Thank you, Gina. All right. So let me see. I got to tell you something about the lipstick. The lipstick is not from last night. Although I woke up this morning, came out to get a cup of coffee, was talking to my son, and he said, Mom, can I ask you a really weird question? Because he knows me and how I am about makeup and everything. And I said, well, it's not, no question is weird. What is it? And he goes, did you go to bed with your makeup on? And I said, what? And he goes, you got lipstick on. Did you go to bed with lipstick? And of course, me being who I am, said, well, yeah, you just don't know who's going to show up. Well, he didn't think it was funny. I howled like it was no tomorrow. But yeah, it was a good old hanger-oner. And it took me a minute and an act of Congress to get that lipstick from last night off. And I have it on again. There you go. All right. Oh, Captain Jerry says, the hospital I worked in, the OR is above the morgue. So I would see things during surgeries or things would move on my tray. There's a lot of energy. The one thing about this type of thing is that there's so much energy around, it's easy to get things to move. Easy to get things to move. So we're going to talk about another scary story in a minute. Okay, so let me catch up with everybody. Yes, Auntie BB, there was a lot from Katrina that was going on. That is for sure. Okay, let me see here. I don't know about any of you, if you heard this or not. Let me catch up here. Let me make sure that Patty, Zelda, that's crazy. You pushed down the stairs. Was I hurt? My pride. And I was a little embarrassed because it kind of made me look like I wasn't so sure-footed. But when I go out to places, always black. I'm the man in black. No, I'm a woman in black. I wear either my cowboy boots, like, yeah, I wear cowboy boots, or um, I wear a very good soled tennis shoe. And, so that's what I do. So let me see here. Girls Gone Wild. Be Jerry and I'll be Girls Gone Wild. Captain Jerry says, yes, ladies, I'll come pick you up. Okay. Hey, never say never. You just may see us. Hello. Okay, so I want to catch up here and make sure I'm not missed anything. Okay. I think it's funny I snorted. Okay. I'm a snorter when I laugh. When I laugh real hard, I snort. So, okay. So there we go. And let me see. Yeah, the black obsidian mirror in the Vatican has the twin. Yep. We'll talk about that on here sometime. We'll talk about it. There you go, Elizabeth. Listen, there we go. I like my cowboy boots and I wear them year round. Yes, I do wear sandals. Yes, I do wear t shirts, and I don't wear jeans because they're too constricting for me. I know. I like to be comfy. Not lounge sweats, but I am comfy. Okay. Let me see. I have another story that I want to tell you. This one isn't so scary, but it's sort of kind of weird. Okay. So, drink time. When I lived in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, there was. Now, can you hear First of all, can you hear the music? Is it bothering you? Would you want to hear it a little bit more? Tell me in the chat, please. Hi, everyone coming in. Bless you, bless you. We don't have so many coming in tonight. And I think it's because we're not talking about all things legal, but you know what? That's okay. Look who's here to protect Mama. There we go. Independent thoughts. You know what, my darling? Iron. It's not a stone, it's not a crystal. Iron. I don't carry stones and I don't carry crystals. And I know this sounds really bad because I know that many of you do, and you have to do what you have to do. Okay? But here's my thing. If you ever meet up with a demon, would you ever rather have a piece of iron that can help you get maybe out of a pickle? Because your crystal and all those stones probably not going to do you too much good even if you throw them at him. Prayer and iron. And you can get iron like a railroad spike. I wear Skechers too. You can get iron like an iron. I would go to places that had old railroad ties here in the USA, like those big railroad nails that are four-sided. Perfect. If you get some of those, you could literally, if you had to, put them in the ground and form a barrier around you that cannot be crossed. Zelda, do you use crystals at all? I have one, and I'll use it sometimes during my card readings. I don't use them. I don't. I just don't use them. To me, it's like, now, like the bracelets that we have in the store. I have some of those under my pillow around. It helps to calm things and helps to do all that. But as far as anything more, um, Melissa, you are my darling. Thank you so much. I'm just going to tell you something. I'm old school, and a lot of people get mad at me because I just want to tell the truth. And the truth about this stuff. You don't pray to angels. That is against the word of God. And he tells us this in the book of Revelation. It is a serious offense if you pray to angels. Do angels and guides come with us to protect us? Yes. Do angels and guides have what they call the face of God? Absolutely. What is the face of God? The attention. They have his attention. If something is happening and we say, Father, Father, we need help, the angels go to him immediately and say, oh, she needs help. That's what they're there for. We don't pray to angels. You want to have a problem? Well, I'm not saying don't use your stones, and you all can listen, y'all can have all that stuff because it doesn't hurt. For me, it just doesn't help. Okay? I I put them under my bed or my, whatever. But as far as protection, iron, my cross, prayer, that's it. I but I think that stones and all that are very nice and they're very great. And so I'm not saying don't do them, don't have them, don't use them. But I'm talking if you go out on a paranormal investigation, that's what I'm talking about. That, like, and that's, did that not sound like, um, what was his name on Napoleon Dynamite? That's what I'm talking about. So, um, so that's the deal. That's my equipment. Now I have my ring on constantly, not because of protection, but because of the way I like that it makes me feel. So I'm going to have that. So I believe in angels too. I believe, but they were created to be our protectors and to be around us. Doesn't mean you can't talk to them. Doesn't mean that you can't say thank you for your protection. But don't turn your attention from our Father to the angels and expect help because He doesn't like it. And it's in the Word. It's not my word, it's His. It's in the book of Revelation. We are not supposed to, and it's all throughout, we are not supposed to do that. And if you want to know why, take a look at all the stories in the Bible that we know. Have we ever seen any of them pray to an angel? No. They all, starting from the Old Testament on. Now, have angels dropped? Have they played a big part into? Absolutely, because they're all a part of it. But we don't pray to angels. It is a dangerous business. It is a dangerous habit. If you want help from Father, you pray to Father in Jesus' name. That's how you do it. You can talk to Christ, you can talk to Jesus, but when you're asking, when you're thanking, when you're praying, God, in the name of Christ, there we go. So there we are, my darlings. Okay, so here we go. Let me see if there's anything more. Well, there you go. I mean, see, and I'm not sitting here in judgment. I want you to know, okay? No judgment here. I'm just saying. So, okay, next story. Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Gatlinburg, Tennessee, there used to be a Pizza Hut that was on what was called the Parkway. That's the main, what they call the Miracle Mile, where they have stuck every shop known to man and more. Um, so they stuck this Pizza Hut where you could see it as you were driving down the main drag of Gatlinburg. But you had to go this roundabout way, but they built it close to a cemetery that was up on there behind everything. And I used to go to that cemetery and walk around. Now they have police. They won't allow you to go into that cemetery. If they catch you, you get thrown out or you get trespassing. There's signs all up, don't do it. But when we would go into Pizza Hut, you would see a dog, which happened to be a German Shepherd, come out of the kitchen and into the dining room, turn around and come back. And people would look. Because, first of all, what the heck is a German Shepherd doing in the middle of Pizza Hut? And secondly, talk about a big restaurant health violation. Hello. Hello. So, this was way back. This was in the 80s, my darlings. This was in the 1980s. Chloe was not even a twinkle in anyone's eye at that point. So, I agree, independent thoughts. So, you would go up there and you'd order, and this doggy would come around. Now, did he look normal? If you didn't really notice, if you didn't really look at him, yes. But if you caught his eye, if you looked at him, his eyes were empty. His eyes were empty. He was gone. His eyes were empty. And so this happened and happened and happened. So someone from the health department came up there and said, yes, this is way before the advent of service dogs here in the US proper. And it was like in the 1980s. Unless you could not see or were legally blind, you could not have it. There was a dog. So this doggy was around. And so the health department inspector came up there and he violated them. Okay. And they said, we don't have a dog. We're telling you. Yes, we've got so many complaints. There's a dog coming in here, blah, 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 blah. Well, finally, this dog started coming out more and more. And the health inspector was there one day. And when he walked out, he caught a glimpse of this dog. The dog came out one of the kitchen doors and turned around and went back in. And that health inspector ran to go see where that dog was. And the dog couldn't have gotten out because it went through the kitchen and there was no way he could have seen it. And I can tell you truthfully, that dog was not there. It was an apparition. So that health inspector got a little weirded out. And so push come to shove, the health inspector closed him down. And then Pizza Hut came along and tore down Pizza Hut. It is no longer there. The foundation is there. If you go up there, I could probably take you there. If you go out there and hunt around and, make sure that you didn't get caught, which I'm not going to do, but if you make sure you didn't get caught, you could definitely, and there's this dog that runs around the cemetery. Who does it belong to? We don't know. Nobody knows who the doggy belongs to. He's just there, making himself at home, walking through Pizza Hut. So, that goes to show you that it's not only human beings, it can be these people too that can show up. These people mean of the animal kingdom that can also show up. I've heard cats meow on EVPs, dogs bark, birds chirp, as in parrots, cockatiels, all kinds of different things. And believe me, Aunt BB2, did any business replace the Pizza Hut location? No. They would not allow anything else to be built back in that location because um, they don't want the same trouble. They still get of seeing this dog in the wood. It's kind of weird. Like, this is the main road goes down Gatlinburg, and there's businesses all on the side. Up behind the business on this little hill, you could see Pizza Hut back there. The cemetery is back there behind the businesses, all that, but it's up on a little hill. But is um, nothing is there at all. They won't allow anything to be built there because it's too close to the cemetery, and they don't want anybody kicking around. So there we go. All right, let me see this. Samantha, bless you. Look, I love that little hat you've got on, my darling. I think it's a hat. It looks a little touring cap or something. Whatever it is adorable. And thank you so much for your generosity. I appreciate. Look, it matches my glasses. How cool is that? Thank you so much for that. I'm now like in vogue. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let me see. Do you ever get any reads from living animals? Yes. I have read for my friends 2 Labradors, and especially when they were ill, for my best friend who was in Arizona. They're no longer with us. They were much older. And so, yes, to the fact, let me see this, to the fact where she called me, and I don't give any advice because I always say, you better go to the vet. But I woke up one morning seeing one of her dogs. She lived in Arizona. I don't live in Arizona. Sitting in my bedroom looking at me. And I called her immediately and I said, hey, Jethro was sitting in my room. What does this mean? And she said he has been very ill all night and was describing what he was going through. And I said, he's got a blockage. No, he doesn't. We took him to the vet. I said, he's got a blockage. He's got a blockage. You need to take him back or he's not going to make it. He's got a blockage. So they called this veterinarian emergency number, did not go to their regular vet. And it was a young guy that she said, oh my gosh, he looked 12. And I said, look, I'm to the point, everybody looks 12, right? So she said, look, my friend is a psychic, and told him what I told her. And he said, okay, that gives me an idea of what's happening now. So he made her leave the room. He did some tests. 30 minutes later, came back and said, your friend is absolutely right. We're going to have to do some minor surgery on Jethro. And I'm so glad you brought him in. He would never have made it. And so he did have some type of blockage from being out in a dog park and eating a bird that had been there for a while that he couldn't digest. So, doggy. So, there we go. And in fact, the vet said, I want your friend's number because if I ever have any case, I want to ask her. So every now and then there's something he can't figure out. Oh, I just saw something about my lighting just went weird. Did you just see that? Who is here? There it went back again. Okay. So anyway, every now and then I hear from him. Seldom, but he'll text me and say, I've got a case I can't figure out. Can you give me an idea where to look? And I use my pendulum. I don't use the cards, I use the pendulum. And he'll send me a picture of the dog or draw a little diagram, and that's how we do it. So there we go. So I don't know what's going on. Probably an entity is here. Do you see the lighting changing? Now you see me, I'm not doing anything. Here's my hands. I got one on this person. And I'm talking with my hand. So I think you're seeing firsthand that there is, we got somebody here. Who's to know? That's wild, isn't it? Energy is changing. Energy is changing. Okay. Pardon me. All right. Very different. Let me see. I'll like scoot up here. I may have to change my lighting in a minute because it looks like we're kind of getting very dark. Looks like we're kind of getting very dark. So, hi there, honey 28. Hello, kitty kitty. Hello, saying hello. I love that. We may have to change the lighting or something. Who is here? I don't know. We may hear something. Okay, so um, I'm trying to think of another one that I can tell you that's not going to scare the show. I've got a good one. Did you like that? I've got a good one. Let me check here. I think somebody sent me a Venmo, and I want to thank you. An anonymous Venmo came in that basically said, "Thank you for everything that you do, Lady Zelda. We love you so much. Thank you too for doing that for me. It is so appreciated. Thank you very much." Okay, so um, well, Patty, I'm so glad that you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lights are flickering right now. Yeah, there's some. Something's going. Something's happening. Something's happening. We're just going to keep going with the stories. If it gets too dark and you can't see me, just let me know, and I'll maybe try to turn another light on. But hey, we're telling scary stories, right? Sammy is my barometer. She'll let me know what's happening, and I don't think she's getting stressed, but she's kind of like starting to lick a little bit. So sometimes when she looks like that, it's a little stressful for her. So, oh, her giving me kisses. Okay, mommy's girl. So, this other story in Ohio, driving around with my dad. And my dad and I had this weird obsession with driving around cemeteries. Saturday morning, he would call me. Now, my parents were divorced. And he would call me and he'd say, "Hey, let's go to this old," and these were these old fashioned towns. I mean, pardon me. And somebody just jumped off the windowsill. Okay. These were old fashioned towns. The little villes and the burgs and that sort of thing where one stoplight and that was it. Sammy, what are you doing, sis? This is getting a little, just calm down here. So, and you're making my nose tickle. Stop that. So, anyway, so we would go out to breakfast and he'd say, "What direction are we going, ma'am? Please, okay, it's time to get down if you're going to do that. Thank you very much." I don't mind that she does this, but boy, she makes my nose tickle. And that's why I'm sitting here going, "Oh, tickle, tickle, tickle." Because when she does that, obviously, and I don't know, I think I need to turn my light up a little bit and we'll see what happens here. Pardon me for the reach. There we go. We're back again. Shed some light on the subject. Now, if it goes down a little bit, we'll know something's firing. So, he would call and say, "Where do you want to go to breakfast?" And I would say, "Oh, well, let's go here, let's go there. What cemetery are we going to go to? Let's go here, let's go there." We would always make sure that we would go to the old cemeteries. The old cemeteries in like Revolutionary War, Civil War cemeteries where people were buried. Some of the cemeteries that we went through would have a headstone that would look similar to this. And at the top of the headstone would be an oval frame. Look who's back. An oval frame. Don't be digging, sister. An oval frame of the person who was laid to rest there. The one that I saw, I was 16 years old, and he was 16 years old when he lost his life fighting in the Civil War. Now that got to me because, I stood there thinking, here I am wondering if I'm going to make the cheerleading squad again, wondering if I'm going to be in flag corps. Here I am wondering, if I'm going to get this pair of shoes that I saw that I really like, this sort of thing. Wondering if my boyfriend and I were going to go to whatever movie we wanted to go to. You understand, blah, blah, blah. And here lays this poor young man in a cemetery, like in a stone with this frame, an oval frame. And I'm going to tell you, he was the cutest thing that I'd ever seen. And it just made me feel so bad. Sorry. He made me feel so bad. He gave his life. And there I am, 16, looking at him thinking, oh, wow. There he is with his uniform. 60s years, where's his family? Right? Sorry. Okay. So we're in this cemetery, and it seriously, this is the reason I put this up. It seriously looks, and there's Scooby-Doo walking through. Looked like this. Look at this cemetery. Looking like this. And my dad's there. Not that he could, whatever, but we could cut and run, basically, is what, whatever. It was daylight, and all of a sudden, my darlings, we were standing there because we had had breakfast, did the bathroom things, made sure, because, where are you going to go? Hello. You go out into these places not knowing what you're going to see or what you're going to find. So we parked the car. The cemetery was kind of up this windy road. It was kind of on this hill. Was on this hill. So when you went around this little, it was just like a little, like, hello, like this. You could drive the car on, right? Something just pulled my hair back here. Okay, I get it. So now I'm tangled. Oh, this hair is driving me crazy. It tangles so bad. Okay, so go up this, and we park the car. We're sitting there. I'm choking up over this young man. My dad's roaming around, and there is a line of trees, just like this, at the back of the cemetery. But it was like a few yards. It was not like 2 rows over, a few yards. So we get there, and I'm poking around. I'm looking at this young man. And there were others in there too. He wasn't the only one. And then, you hit all the gravestones and just make you feel like, oh my gosh, this is so horrible, blah, blah, right? And so we're there, and all of a sudden I felt the breeze. And I thought, and I turned around, I looked at the sky, and I started getting a little on the dark side. You just could tell. And I'd hollered at my dad, is it supposed to rain today? And we're hollering over this, and it was kind of funny. We're hollering over this cemetery, and he's like, what? And I said, is it supposed to rain today? What? So we get closer. As I walk closer and he's looking at me, there was a spirit entity that walked out of the woods right behind my dad. And it took me back from it. Now, there's no houses or anything back there. This another desolate place out in the middle of God's country because only God could find it at that particular time. So there's this man, and I could tell it was a entity because he had no hands and you couldn't see his legs from his knees down. And he looked like, and the first thing that went through my mind, you know what went through my mind? Night of the Living Dead. That movie scared the crap right out of me. Seriously. So I look at my dad and I'm like, I need you. And he's like, what? And he's looking around. And so I just start running toward him because I'm thinking, what the heck? Who is this? Is this the first thing is running through my mind is, oh my gosh, is this guy going to jump my dad? And we didn't have anything with us. And so the wind was starting to get really weird. The atmosphere got really weird to the point where it kind of got green like this. And I know enough to know that I know enough that in Ohio, if it starts looking green, you better go home because that could mean a tornado is coming. Regardless if it's windy or raining or anything else, if the atmosphere starts, the ions, whatever they are, starts looking green, you better get in your car and you better roll. So I'm pointing up and he's like, oh yeah, maybe, I could see him like oh, the light bulb went off. We better go. So I'm looking at him and I went like this. I wanted to see if he saw him. My dad turned around, and just as he turned around, this entity looked right at him and disappeared. My dad saw him. My dad looked at him. My dad was pale. Now, I want you to know this. My dad didn't believe in this at all. His father, my grandfather, was a Methodist minister. There wasn't any of this stuff. I am named after my grandmother, my grandfather's wife, the Methodist minister's wife. That was a fight in the family, I can tell you that. So he looked at me, and I had to laugh because this is exactly what my dad said. He looked right over at me and he said, what in the how in the hell? Now, I'm going to tell you, even my son and I will say that. I was 16. That was about 49 and a half years ago when that happened, I think. Yeah. When that happened, and that has stuck with me because I just thought it was funny coming from him. But he saw it. He saw it. And he was quiet. And I looked at him and I said, Dad, I think we better go. The weather's getting bad. I knew he saw it. And he knew that I knew he saw it. We get to the car on the way home. He said, did you see that? And I said, yeah, Dad. It's kind of like what this stuff we've got on the farm. And he said, oh. And he said, what do you think it is? I said, I think that it is somebody somewhere just trying to find somewhere something. And, because I couldn't go into it at that time. To give you a little history backstory, my dad did not like my mom's mom, my other grandmother, the card reader. And so he always thought she was kooky and nutty and did not like the idea that grandma had been teaching me how to read cards, and we would get together and we would tell ghost stories and all this other stuff, and my grandparents would go out. It was Lorraine Warren that nicknamed my grandmother her nickname, which was Sass, because my grandmother had a lot of sass, and especially with people who tried to rip somebody off and charge them for coming into a haunted house that wasn't haunted, and all of these things. So my dad just did not, he could not comprehend this. Couldn't comprehend, because he just didn't have that. And see, they were Germans. So that was very hard to help them understand a lot of stuff like that. So we went home, and I told my mom, and he said he never did believe in any of this. So the next Saturday, I waited for him to call, and he didn't call me. And I waited and waited, went to church the next day, saw him at church, and I said, "Hey, I thought we had a date yesterday." And he said, "Oh, I was kind of busy." I said, "Oh, are we not going to go to the cemeteries anymore?" He said, "Oh no, we will. We will. We'll go. We'll go." And he says, "Oh, okay, we'll go." And it was about 2 or 3 weeks. And then it was over. Never went again. Because he was so afraid of seeing. And believe me, this guy, whatever it was that was standing behind him, gray, all gray. Clothing was gray, looked torn, looked like this guy rolled down the hill, up the hill, around the hill. He looked like he had been, which I really feel that it was somebody who was from Civil War, because he had gray on. And I didn't put two and two together back then. But I think that that's probably what it was. So there we go. So there's a lot more stories. I don't know. We've been here almost 2 hours. Do you want to continue for a couple of more stories and then say goodbye? You tell me. I'm not going to do EVPs tonight, my darlings. I'm just not, because the energy is really weird here, and I can tell my lights are, and it's storming and all that, so the energy is really heightened. So we will do them again soon. But independent, yes, I've gone back a couple of times. When I got older, I went back because I wanted to see who this. When I was 16, all I could think about was my boyfriend. Whatever. Played football. Whatever. Cheerleading. That kind of thing. But I went back because I wanted to see who he was. I wanted to do a deep dive, genealogy, all this. They took everybody's picture off of the graves because they were getting vandalized. Hello. Why do people want to be that way? Hello. Bad. And I just think that people are so disruptive and horrible when it comes to this. You get these kids, and I call them kids, but, there you go. But unfortunately, it just wasn't the same. And I missed the opportunity. What do you think about the Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts? Do you think it's tied to all the nefariousness? Well, let me tell you something. There's something else about Boston that I'll share a little bit about with you, okay? And I think it has to tie in with all of these unsettling, because in a place like what's going on right now, I don't care what anybody says. There is an evil atmosphere, an evil arrangement that it's just horrible. And I don't know. I I think there's a lot. I think Massachusetts and especially Norfolk County needs to be cleansed. Let me show this. Beautiful Carissa, bless you. Karen is free. Amen and amen to that. Gifted 5 Fate and Fortune True Oracle memberships. You are the one and top shelf. Thank you so much, my darling, for your generosity. And I'm going to tell you this. This next Sunday, tomorrow, when did we have our last, was it last Sunday? I think it was because I got sick, wasn't it? It's the 20th. Okay, somebody just reminded me. It is the 20th, not tomorrow. Forget what day it is. Hello. It is not tomorrow. It is a week from tomorrow. True Oracle. I will be reading your cards. Members only. Have your questions ready. Okay. So thank you so much for those memberships. It certainly helps people come in. Hello, new members. It helps people come in. I love that. I love that. So I think, okay, let me tell you this. Pardon me. In 1811, there were some planetary alignments. There was an eclipse. The pathway went all the way up through, kind of like from Texas, all the way up through to Boston, through the New Madrid line. It is a fault line. In 1811, there was an earthquake in Boston that was so severe that it rang the church bells. Now, planetarily, we now are kind of in that same time frame. Is this through a fault line? I don't know. It's kind of something that you have to sit back and take a look at. But there's something else kind of weird that I want to tell you about. The doll Annabelle visited Pennsylvania. I don't know what town, but someone contacted me and said, oh my God, I am scared to death. Why? Because the moment that they announced that she was there, 911 went down. There was no 911 service around at all. Things started happening in this town of Pennsylvania, and I'm going to try to get the facts so that way I'm not sitting here blowing smoke. And I wanted to tell you about that too. Because, around that doll Annabelle is some crazy energy. Have I gone to visit it? No, because I don't do dolls. Dolls are not in my future. But wow. So anyway. So that is, so so there's a lot of things that are happening planetary wise. The rest of this year, as we go forward, you're going to see some more weather anomalies. And I'm going to say this, I did a video in October of 24 about the pathway of the solar eclipse. And that pathway went through Kerrville, Texas, which is very close to where they had the floods most recently. And they're saying more and more again. Now, I don't know. Let me see. Look who is here. The Goodmans gifted a membership, and you are top shelf. Thank you so much, my darlings. Such good people, such dedication, such support. I pseudo met you through attorney Melanie Little's channel, and I just think you're all adorable for your support, and thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. So, yeah, I don't do the doll thing at all. Nicole M gifted 5 memberships. Top shelf, all of you. Top shelf, thank you so much. I appreciate you. There was a Cash App that came in, and Diane, thank you so much for your generosity. You're so kind and generous. Much love. Listen, running a channel like this, I've got to tell you, and if you talk, I've asked attorney Melanie Little to come on with me. I love her. Melanie is very empathic. I just want you to know. She knows it too. That's why she's very good at what she does. But I'm going to have her on one time, and I love hearing her talk about the paranormal, or I'm sorry, about the law and all this, because in my business, I don't talk law because I ain't a liar. I ain't a liar. Melanie's not a liar. None of them are. But we know one that was in court, 3 that was in court that were liars, eating bananas like primates, right? We know who that they are. They're going to also get called in for, or they're being put on notice. Hello. But when attorney Melanie comes on, I'm going to talk to her a little bit about being an empath, a little bit, because she's very open to the card reading. She knows all about it. She knows all this. Top shelf. She is top shelf. I love the women in this law field. I love the men too, but I love the women in this law field. And it's because they have so much to bring to the table. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. And this is going to sound funny, but y'all are going to know what I'm talking about. Because it's just the way it is. Women are soft on the outside, but harder on the inside. Men are harder on the outside, no pun intended now, and sometimes softer on the inside. Sometimes. But listen, I have known women who have committed crimes. They will unload and unleash on somebody. They don't stop at just one pew. They make sure that the whole clip is empty. Now, men, done, boom, get the job done, get out. It's because we have a particular emotion that goes behind the common sense. It's because of that, I'm going to say, mother instinct. Miss Melanie has that. She knows what it takes. She knows how to put things together. I can't wait to have her come on and visit us. She'll come on. She already said that she will come on. She had to go to dinner tonight. I was going to ask her if she could come on, but I want to give her a very big announcement coming forward because that's what I want to do. She deserves it. But for all of you that have missed it, when we first came on, I know that Mr. Bedero's letter is out. I know that AJ's letter is out about Kelly Dever, Miss Garage. The scary story that I can tell you tonight is that I learned in the Bedero letter that Kate Peter had a boyfriend. That's frightening to me. Hello. And he ain't that forthright either. That I mean, when people ask me, why can't I find someone? Believe me, there is someone out there for everyone. Believe me, if Kate Peter, in my opinion, in my opinion, Kate Peter has a boyfriend, there's hope for the rest of us. Scary story, true story. So there we go. Now, Kelly Dever, Kelly pulled the lever, Dever. She it's funny. This is definitely what you call a backfire. She thought she was going to come, Miss Garage. She thought she was going to step up and command the courtroom. And I think this Commissioner Cox, good name for him, by the way, this Commissioner Cox gave her a false sense of security. She's young. She's female. She's kind of cute. Get your ends trimmed, Kel. We talk someday. But he gave her a false sense of security. I feel they both lied, but I believe that she lied based on a lie that she was told. I think that after she made the statement to the three initial, the alphabet, that it was determined that that would not be helpful. So she was called in and called on the carpet and given this false sense of security. And when this Cox fellow, the commish, denied, let's think about this. Wasn't Officer John on the Boston PD? And he is saying he knows nothing about it. What kind of a commissioner is he? That's supposed to be one of his own. John should be first and foremost right up there and getting justice. He lied to her intentionally. She lied based on the lie that he told. So it was a secondhand lie. So now, AJ put him on notice that she needs to be added to the Brady list because this little something or other that she told, and she told our alphabet organization that she had a false memory. I wish I had a false memory when I think back the last husband that I married. Anyway, she made sure that she told that there was a false memory in court. And now that backfired on her. Because you know why? You know why? They set her up. They knew. They knew that this would end her. She is a liability. They already know she can recant, retract, rewind all she wants. And it's too late. She's on family medical. I hope everything is okay. Don't wish her harm. But she's young and impressionable and hungry. And they set her up. How did they set her up? She's a danger. They knew that what she said originally was truth. Goodbye. They knew that this was truth. So reality says, well, let's figure out something that we can tell her that she retracts this. It's like Jen calling the FBI back and saying, oh, Well, by the way, I have to, I did tell Carrie, but you know how she is. She's a talker. And I had to go get my blowout and my tan. And I had to go to the emergency room because the cross I was wearing around my neck burned a place in my skin. Okay. So it's the same kind of premise there. Setup. But the setup set her back. So now she's paying for semi, sorta, kinda telling the truth initially about Piggy and Berkey, spending a wildly amount of time in the Sally Port. Well, what do we think? So they knew they knew that she was going to pay. And most likely they may try to ignore AJ because it's AJ. But I believe eventually she'll have to be put on the Brady list, and this will ruin her. This will ruin her career. Who wants a cop, pardon me, who wants a cop on your force that has a false memory? But sorry, officer, he fell. What is that? What does that mean? Having a false memory? What? They fed her that trash. They fed it to her. She repeated it, and now she ruined herself because Cox told her to come in his office and he denied even seeing her. How do you think she feels tonight? How do you think she feels last night? How do you think she. And of course, when I saw it on the news, they said, oh, well, they tried to reach her and she was unavailable. Well, heck yes, she's going to be unavailable. Are you out of your complete blasted minds? Look, mainstream media, if you're watching, if you would have reported the truth to begin with, instead of the trash about the Ring camera footage that Jen planted the seed, if you look at the Bedero letter, Jen's name is all over that. Manipulation. Is this part of dark work? Yes. Yes, it is. Trying to manipulate a situation, and look at the people that it's hurting. Look at the people that it's disturbed. And do you know why Karen walked out the way she did, free? Is because there was a higher power and it's a destiny. Just like Turtle Boy, a higher power and a destiny, because this cannot go on forever. It will end. It will have to end, and that will be it. Chris, here's a good statement, question. How is she ever going to get a normal civilian job as well? Well, McDonald's is hiring. Would you like fries with that order, sir? Oh, wait. And then she messes up on the order. Well, I had a false memory. I thought he wanted fries, and here he wanted an apple pie instead. All of that. And standing stones, my darling, look at this. The stone on the lawn. Who put that there? You know that the owners of 34 Fairview Road have Ring cameras because they saw Miss Cloak and Dagger running away. If she had the right to be there, what the heck was she running away? I would have. Stomping comes to mind. False memory. Have you ever heard of that? I'm going to start using that. I'm sorry, I had a false memory. Remind me if I ever say that I want to walk down the aisle again, that when I get to the altar, when he says, "Do you, Zelda, take this man to be your lawful husband?" I'll say, I don't know. I have a false memory. That probably is what got me here. I cracked myself up. Nobody else needs to laugh. Seriously, she's ruined now. Do I feel sorry for her? That reminds me. If you would like to see what your aura is, okay, I'm going to tell you how to do it. Let me get a slice of paper and I'll show you. These are the questions that we had yesterday. I can use this. Kelly Dever is ruined. Oh, and look at how the lighting changed. And hello. Just say what, man? That's right. Okay. Hang on, Sissy. You never know where Mama's going. All right. If you want to see your aura, what aura you have, this involves squinting. Hang on, sister. All right. This involves squinting. You take a white slice of paper. You take this white slice of paper and you put your fingers together like this, and then you open them. Just, you see how slightly I've got them open? Now you have to, this is, I know it sounds weird. I know all of you are going to be doing this. Oh, hello. Sorry, Bilbo was up here. I had to say hello. You squint and you put this piece of paper up here and you put it close to the paper. Now, it may take a little bit, but what you do is you put your fingers together and then you take them apart again and then you put them together. What you're doing is creating this little frequency thingy, okay? So you should be able to see your aura. If you can't see it, just keep trying because we all have an aura. And that reminds me, Mrs. K would love for you to read on Aiden's Kates and all MSP involving through. Okay, well, I've done a reading on Aiden a while ago, and I know that he will be okay. How can I say this? He's not a believer in what I do. So I think. I'm pretty sure. So I don't want to do that without his permission because I read for the bad guys. I read for Karen. I know she's okay. I read for, but with this being said, I'll just say this. I know he's going to be okay. I just don't want to cause a problem because I want to respect if he doesn't feel that way. Okay. So I don't want him to see these big thumbnails with him all out. He already saw that we had a thumbnail. I mean, a thumbnail. We already saw that we had a donation party for him. And I'm sure he's very appreciative. Because that day, I just want to let you know, all of you, we raised almost $1,000 for him in about 2 hours, which I thought was amazing. I think it was 3 hours. So there we go. So I don't want to take that liberty without his permission. There, I can say it. All the bad actors, I'll take whatever liberty that I can take with these people. Karen, it was different in some respect, but I knew that if she didn't want that, I probably would have gotten some sort of kind of message. And I'm sure that Richie Microdots would have said, hey, you need to knock that off. And I would have, out of respect for her. So I would have. Just like for attorney Melanie, I would never read for her without permission. I would never read for a lot of other people without permission. So there you are. Now I'm going to tell you another story. How you that? How you that? How you like that? How you like that? Okay. So back in the day, Leonard Nimoy. Do y'all remember Leonard Nimoy? Oh, I can't even talk. Leonard Nimoy used to be a show. Wait, I'm hearing something. I don't know what the heck that was. All right. Leonard Nimoy was Mr. Spock. That's right. Thank you so much, my darlings, in the chat. There was a show that was called, thank you, Jerry. I'll be glad to do that, darling. There was a show that was called In Search Of. Does anybody remember this In Search Of shows? Those were fantastic. And if I could ever find a box gift set of In Search Of, Leonard Nimoy, wait, can I do it? I used to be able to. There we go. Live long and prosper. Leonard Nimoy loved those shows. I loved that show. I remember those shows. Well, there was one show because, my mom and grandma, hello. We would sit and watch these shows. Well, there was one that has always stood by me, and I cannot find it because you know how they post everything here on YouTube. Hello. One Step Beyond, I watched that. It is all over Roku, Tubi, YouTube. Hello. Twilight Zone. Those were the good old days when they had scary stories. Okay. So there was one program of In Search Of that there was a radio show that it was a call-in radio show asking about, do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in this? Ooh, I got the ringing. Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in this? Do you believe that? Do you believe in that? Do you believe in this? All of a sudden, I used to know off the top of my head what radio what radio program it was, and I can't remember that anymore. It's been a long time. But all of a sudden, the equipment in the radio studio went down. There was, lights, camera, action was done. And the phone rang because it was a call-in show. Do you remember the old days where we had to call in hello and hello? Maybe I need to do that some night. Maybe Higgy will call into my show. When I would love that. Say, Higgy, let's meet. So the phone rang, and it didn't ring, it rattled. So the man answered it. Art Bell. I'll tell you something about Art Bell in a minute, okay? So this man reluctantly, the radio gentleman, the DJ, reluctantly answers. And this big voice. Now, my friends, this is before AI and all this generation or stuff came out, okay? I use some of it, okay. But this big voice comes over the phone, and because they had it hooked up, you could hear, and it says, the earth has an aura. Now listen, my little ears perked up when I heard all this. And this voice spoke for about 10 minutes about how the earth has an aura and how if this aura is unsettled, it can affect us, the weather, frequency, vibration. It just went on and on and on and on. Holy shaholy. I'll never forget that. Now, Art Bell. They are making a movie about Art Bell. And the actor, I cannot remember his name, but he played if any of you watched oh shoot, that Showtime, it was on Showtime, one of my biggest favorite shows. Oh, it was about the financial guy. Anyway, he played the DA in that. He played a police officer in The Illusionist. Tell me that I did not love The Illusionist with Edward Norton. Oh my heck. This guy played that. He played John Adams in HBO Max. What is his name? I can't remember. Anyway, he will be playing Art Bell in the new movie that will be coming out. And I think it might be a series. And he will be perfect. Because the man is not very nice looking. But wow, I would date him. And I'll tell you why. He is so bloody interesting. He commands a room. He's so confident. Paul Giamatti. That's exactly who it is. Thank you so much. Thank you. That is his name, Paul Giamatti. And now what is that? What is that on Showtime? What was that? Red hair guy played in Band of Brothers. Oh heck. Now I have to look. What was his name? Did anybody hold on. Showtime with Paul Giamatti series. Hello. What is it called? Billions. Hello. Yes. Billions. I'm there for that show. Oh my heck. I love that. Band of Brothers, all that. Paul Giamatti, absolutely. But he played in Billions. He's been around for a very, very long time. And he has really, really evolved as an actor. And I'm going to tell you, I would go out with him only because, see, I have transcended. It used to be I would not go out with a man unless you were good looking and you could dance. That was my criteria. You had to dance and you had to be good looking. Up here was usually a door full of nothing. Now, you got to hold my interest. I want to have a conversation. Take me to a joint. You know, the old diner bar type place that serves food that I can sit, have a cup of coffee, probably a homemade hamburger, not cheeseburger, a homemade hamburger, and a piece of peach pie, and let's have a conversation. Yes. And are there men out there that are like that? Wait, I think I'm hearing crickets. Maybe. I think they're few and far between. Maybe. I'm going to tell you what I want to do. This is a big dream. This is a huge, big pipe dream of Zelda. And I will definitely let you know if it because, hey, you just never know. You never know. And I've got it on my list. I would love to have my own channel. Not on this Roku, Tube, something. I would love to have my own show, not a podcast. You never know. You never know. He's got to like music. He's got to like to hear me sing. See, I'm to the point now, my darlings, I have a big list of criteria. I'm just going to tell you this. Of course, I don't want to feel like I have to put a paper bag over his head to go out with him. Of course. But he doesn't have to be a lifter. He must be kind. He must be a believer. He must support me, not financially, but in all other ways in what I do. Too many relationships that failed because they were upset because they felt I was more famous or something. Hello, this is PD Pink Nose, and he's got to move. He's got to be funny, and he's got to make me laugh. Dancing, okay. Even if he has to stand there and let me do the, Hiawatha around him, okay, I can handle that. He's got to, wait, somebody is going to get in trouble here because he wants to come up. Look at this. He does not realize I've got Sam, and he will take his life in his own hands if Sam finds out he is on his mom. Oh, gotta love animals, without a doubt. There's absolutely no doubt. He must love. Bless you. So I'm not looking. I have prospects, believe me, but I ain't looking. Because I don't want somebody that looks at me and says, oh, get rid of that scuzzy red lipstick. Done. Over. Oh, you wear black all the time? It's summer. I want you to wear shorts. Up to your kula. Gone. Oh, you wear false eyelashes sometimes when you go out? I don't like that. Gone. Oh, you want to visit your son and have him around all the time? Done. 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 Gone. Out. Goodbye. I am so picky now. It's not that I don't have prospects. And don't even come sniffing around and telling me that, oh, your wife doesn't understand you. Because the last one that told me that, I said, well, she certainly won't understand if I send you home with a kicked knee. Goodbye. Not into that. That is no. Men my age are babies sometimes. No. They have to have their own money. They have to be settled. They have to work. No, a man that doesn't want me wearing false eyelashes. No. I wear false eyelashes. If I want to throw a wig on my head, if I want to wear whatever plaid shirt and striped pants, by golly, I'm going to do it and roll down to the Dairy Queen and get a cotton candy blizzard and be happy, happy camper because I'm done. I want to be happy. And I am very sad that it took me this long to figure that out. But I'm to the point. I hear a lot of women, oh my God, when am I going to meet a man? I've got the last man on Earth syndrome. Well, I've got to make it work. This guy, oh my God, he soaks his head in the toilet. Listen, the last guy that came out of the bathroom holding his stomach and said, what did we eat yesterday? Or, my favorite, when did we have corn? You're done, pal. Ciao. Jethro Tull, absolutely standing stones. Jethro Tull, and you have to put up with me singing karaoke and forgetting the words. Dairy Queen, cotton candy. If I want to drive an old car or an old truck, it's exactly what I'm going to do. If I want to sit and park in a cemetery and have a picnic on a grave, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Hi, Samantha. Good night. Oh, good night, my darling. There's a Broadway song there, but cannot think. I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair and send him on his way. I'm gonna see, forgot the words. I'm gonna that man right out of my arms. If a man don't understand you, if he flies on separate beams, waste no time, weep no more. Show him what that door is for. Rub him out of the roll call and drum him out of your dreams. Oh, hello. Did you see this? A mean girl. You okay, sissy? Aww. Scooby was wanting to come up here. Oh, yes, I love that. Bali High. Oh my God, don't get me started on the show tunes. So there you go. Men, oh, don't go after her. Now where did you come from? Men don't seem to be men anymore. They don't care and think it should be all about, right? Well, men and women have been through a lot. You and I travel to the beat of a different drum. Oh, can't you see by the way I run every time you set eyes on me? Oh, you cry and always say it will work out. Oh, honey child, I've got my doubts. Can't see the forest for the trees. Oh, don't get me wrong. It's not that I'm knocking, it's just that I am not in the market for a boy who wants to love only me. Yes, and I ain't saying you ain't pretty. All I'm saying, I'm not ready for any person, place, or thing to try and pull the rain in on me. So goodbye. I think that's all I know. It'll work. I think that's all I know. Anyway, I got really into it though, didn't I? Once upon a time there was a tavern where they used to raise a glass or two. Those were the days, my friend, we thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. We lived the life we choose, we'd fight and never lose, for we were young. Oh yes, those were the days. La da 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 la 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 Oh my heck. We got through it, didn't we? My favorite Jethro Tull song is Locomotive Breath. My favorite song. Let us cry and grieving, we both live a lot longer. If you live without me, thank you, Jules. Thank you, thank you. I was a good song. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What are we doing here? No. No fights. No fights. Oh my. I love that. Um, there was another one that Linda's. Silver threads and golden needles cannot mend this heart of mine, and I cannot bear thy sorrow and the warmth of your wine. I can't myself, I can't remember these songs. Cause I never was that kind. Silver thread and golden needles cannot mend this heart of mine. There we go. Okay, let me see. Me and you, karaoke. Oh, we'd have fun. We would have fun. Oh, look, Sam, what is going on now? See, I'm singing, and they all want to be up here around me because they know singing. Listen, dormo, listen, dormo. Futurio prisi alla arena. Sone vade si levone honorea no, no, se dove no, alla bar vincerò, vincerò, vincerò. Look out here, I'm being... Good grief, everything is fine. I know. The neighbors will call 911 and say, Mama, thank you. I get in a mood. Anyway, my darlings, we've been on here for a bit. I want to thank you so much for being here. The cats are going wild, and I guess it's better than girls going wild. And I want to thank you for being here. We didn't have as many people here tonight. I don't know why. I guess maybe stories, but hey, it is what it is. And I appreciate you being here and listening because I got so many stories. I think I want to do this every now and then. Pardon me. And I wanted to get, thank you. And I want sometimes this this law stuff is so heavy. Don't you agree that this energy is so heavy? This energy of this evil manipulation, a constant problem, constantly, all the time. Hello. Oh my gosh, my earring is stuck on her. Constant problems. So we're going to go from one evil manipulation to another. And I'm going to tell you all the ghost stories. But we need a break from the trial heaviness. And this is exactly why I do this. I mean, much love to you, my guys. I'm telling you, I love it. We need a refresher. We do. We need a refresher. We need to be able to just sit in here and say, okay, wow. Because I love telling you about my paranormal life. It will start up again. I know Richie's busy. He is collaborating with another person who is very talented on some other things. So I think it's going to be a minute, but that's not going to stop us. It's not going to stop me. I'm going to take you along with me. And for those of you who are members, just know you'll get first look. And that's what I love all about it. And listen, that music is still going in the background. amazing. I'll turn that off. Anyway, I want to thank you. And you all know what happened. Somebody stepped on something. So there we are, my darling. Yes, we are approaching Mercury retrograde on Friday. I want everybody to know that everything is going to be okay and work out the way it is supposed to work out. And that's just the way it is. So, look, this is Sam going, no, I'm going to squeeze in. This tells me right now it's pretty much time to go, my darlings. So, if you can't hear me, you may have to refresh your browser because I show my microphone and everything is working. So there we go. So I want to wish you a happy day, happy weekend. Enjoy your Sunday tomorrow because I'm going to tell you, my darlings, I'm going to be back with more content. Watch, watch. There's a lot of things coming about. We got some more cases I'm going to introduce, maybe some that we haven't heard of, but maybe many that deserve an honorable mention. Sometimes I hate to have it be so heavy with all this. So, the next time we get together, I'm going to tell you paranormal crime stories. Won't that be amazing? Paranormal crime stories. So, my darlings, I'm going to leave you with my same screen that you came in with and a little bit of music. And I want you to know that everything is going to be a-okay. We're going to have a great time. Much love to you. Thank you so much for your generosity, for most of you, for all of you, for being here, spending your time with us this Saturday night. I appreciate you so much. Thank you again. And I'm going to see you very soon. You know I'm around. Can't get rid of me. And I'm going to see you very soon. Good night and much love to each and every one of you. Bye for now.